Imagine waking up one morning to discover that your entire life has been a lie, and the person you thought you knew better than anyone is not who they seemed. For Sarah, it was like a punch to the gut. Her husband, John, had built a perfect facade: the beautiful home, the successful career, the loving family. But behind closed doors, a dark secret lurked. As I look back on the memories of Sarah and Alex's relationship, it's hard not to wonder what went wrong. On the surface, they had it all: a beautiful home in the suburbs, a successful career for him, and two adorable kids who adored their parents. They were the picture-perfect couple that everyone envied. I remember attending family gatherings at their house, being served delicious meals, and listening to Alex's charming stories about his day. He was always so attentive to Sarah, making her laugh, holding her hand. It seemed like true love. But as I got closer to them, I started to notice little things that didn't quite add up. Like how Alex would often receive mysterious phone calls late at night, or how Sarah would get teary-eyed when talking about her childhood. It was like they were hiding something from each other, but I never thought it could be as sinister as it turned out to be. Little did I know, their seemingly perfect marriage was built on a lie that would one day tear them apart. As I look back now, there were subtle warning signs that I wish I had paid attention to. At first, it was just little things: my husband's sudden interest in working late nights, or his frequent excuses to visit friends on the weekends. He'd always been a bit of a workaholic, but this new routine seemed off. And then there were the phone calls, always in hushed tones, and whenever I walked by, he'd quickly silence it. I remember one evening, I saw him scrolling through his phone, his eyes scanning some message with an unmistakable look of guilt on his face. He swiftly deleted it when I approached him, but the damage was done. My mind started racing with questions. What was going on? Who was he talking to? I brushed it off as paranoia, but deep down a nagging feeling persisted. And then came the lost phone bill, a mysterious charge for an international call that seemed suspiciously timed to coincide with our anniversary weekend getaway. My gut told me something wasn't right, but I didn't want to believe it. I remember that anniversary weekend getaway like it was yesterday. We were in a quaint little B&B in the mountains, celebrating our 5th year together. Everything seemed perfect: the scenery, the food, the conversation, or so I thought. One evening, as we were unwinding by the fireplace, my husband got up to grab some more wine from the kitchen. As he was rummaging through the fridge, I noticed a faint smile on his face. At first, I brushed it off as excitement about the weekend, but something didn't sit right with me. As I began to investigate further, I started scouring our partner's social media profiles. At first, I thought nothing of the seemingly innocuous posts about work or family. But then I stumbled upon a profile with an unfamiliar name. Jen was her name, and she lived on the other side of town. We had never met Jen before, but our partner frequently mentioned her in conversations. I brushed it off as mere friendship, until I noticed a pattern. Every time we discussed family or kids, our partner would quickly change the subject or become evasive. It was like they were hiding something from me. I remember the day I decided to confront him once and for all. I'd had enough of his inconsistencies, enough of being left behind in the dark. We were sitting at the kitchen table, and I looked him dead in the eye and said, "Tell me the truth. Is there someone else? A child?" His expression changed in an instant, a mix of guilt and defensiveness. He claimed it was just a silly rumor, that he had no idea what I was talking about. He went on to explain how I must have misinterpreted something, how I was being paranoid. But as he spoke, I noticed the way his eyes darted around the room, avoiding mine. His voice trembled ever so slightly, and for a moment I thought I saw a flicker of truth in his eyes. But then it was gone, replaced by a forced smile and a hasty change of subject. I pressed on, trying to keep him on the hook, but he skillfully sidestepped my questions once again. His denials were convincing, or so they seemed. But I knew better. I could feel it in my bones. There was something he wasn't telling me. I tried to brush off the feeling, but it only grew stronger with each passing day. I started snooping around his phone, not because I was looking for dirt on him, but because something inside me screamed that he was hiding something from me. And then, one fateful evening, I stumbled upon a text conversation between him and someone named Ava. At first, I thought it was just a friend or a colleague, but as I scrolled through the messages, my heart sank. The way they spoke to each other, so affectionate, so familiar. It was like I was reading a love letter. I felt like I'd been punched in the gut. As I finished reading those last few lines, my world came crashing down around me. The words blurred together on the page, but one phrase stood out like a neon sign. Biological child. My heart stopped beating for what felt like an eternity. I couldn't breathe. I couldn't think. All I could do was stare at that word, over and over again, like it was some kind of cruel joke. A child. How could he have kept this from me? From us? We'd talked about having kids together. We'd planned for a future with just the two of us. But now it seemed like everything we thought we knew about our marriage was a lie. I felt like I was living in some kind of twisted dream, where nothing made sense and everyone around me was hiding secrets. My mind raced back to all of the times he'd been away on business trips, the late-night phone calls, the excuses for missing birthdays. It all made sense now. The pieces fell into place with a sickening click. As I stood in our empty living room, staring at the wall where we once hung family photos, a wave of betrayal washed over me. The shame was suffocating. How could he do this to us? To me? All these years, I thought we had something real, something honest. But now, it felt like a lie, a carefully constructed illusion. I couldn't shake the image of him with that other woman, smiling and laughing as if they were living their best lives together. I remembered all those times he said he was working late, or out of town for business trips. How many nights did I wait up alone, wondering where he really was? The birthdays, the anniversaries. He even missed our daughter's first steps. All these things that felt like small slights at the time now seemed like deliberate omissions. The weight of his deception settled heavy on my shoulders, making it hard to breathe. How could I have been so blind, so trusting? It was as if I'd lived in a state of suspended reality, and now the harsh truth crashed down around me like a stormy night, leaving me dazed and lost. Confronting him again was like walking into a nightmare I couldn't wake up from. I had to know the truth. How far did this deception go? I gathered my notes, my heart racing with every scribble on that piece of paper. The phone records, the emails, the inconsistencies in his alibi. It was all there, staring me in the face like a cold, harsh reality. I couldn't ignore it anymore. I took a deep breath and stood outside our bedroom door, steeling myself for what was to come. My hands shook as I pushed open the door and called out his name. He emerged from the bathroom, towel wrapped around his waist, looking innocent, like he had no idea what was about to hit him. My voice trembled as I confronted him with the evidence, each word a dagger to my own heart. How long? I kept repeating, like a mantra of despair. How long did you keep this secret from me? His eyes darted around the room, avoiding mine. And that's when I knew. He was trapped. As the words hung in the air, I felt a mix of emotions, shock, anger, sadness all swirling together like a toxic storm inside me. My mind was racing with questions. How could he do this? How many times had he lied to me? And why did he think I'd never find out? The room seemed to shrink around us, the walls closing in on my shattered world. As I sat there, replaying every moment we'd shared, every conversation we'd had, a crushing weight settled in my chest. Could I have seen this coming? Could I have stopped it somehow? The questions swirled, taunting me like a ghostly presence. Had I been so blinded by love that I ignored the warning signs? The memories flooded back. Our fights about money, his evasive answers, my intuition screaming for attention. But I'd pushed it aside, convinced myself we were just going through a rough patch. As the truth sank in, I felt like I was drowning in a sea of emotions. I couldn't bear to be around my husband anymore, but I didn't know where to turn for support. I reached out to my closest friends, but they were either shocked or judgmental. They'd never met his secret family, after all. They kept saying things like, "How could he do this to you? And you deserve so much better." But what about the pain of losing a partner who'd been lying to me for years? I felt alone in my grief. I knew I needed more than just a sympathetic ear, so I started seeing a therapist. She helped me work through the anger, the shame, and the guilt that threatened to consume me. With her guidance, I began to see that I wasn't responsible for his infidelity, and that it was okay to feel broken. But even with therapy, there were days when I just wanted to crawl back into bed and hide. That's when my support system, a small group of trusted friends who'd been through similar experiences, stepped in. They shared their own stories of survival and reminded me that I wasn't alone. As I sat in that support group, surrounded by women who had been through similar experiences, something shifted inside me. For the first time since discovering my partner's secret child, I felt a glimmer of hope. It was as if the weight on my shoulders began to lift, and I could finally breathe again. I started attending therapy sessions twice a week, where I learned healthy coping mechanisms for dealing with anger, sadness, and anxiety. I also made a conscious effort to reconnect with old friends who had been supportive throughout this ordeal. We would meet up for coffee or go for long walks, and their presence reminded me of my own strength and resilience. It wasn't easy, but slowly, I began to rebuild my life. I started taking art classes, which became an outlet for my emotions. I even started volunteering at a local women's shelter, where I met other survivors who were rebuilding their lives from scratch. For the first time in years, I felt like myself again, raw, vulnerable, and ready to move forward. As I looked back on everything that had happened, I realized that being left behind by a secret child had taught me some hard-won lessons. One of the most important was to never again put someone else's needs above my own. I'd been so caught up in trying to protect and provide for my husband that I'd lost sight of what made me happy. I started taking classes, pursuing hobbies I'd abandoned years ago, and reconnecting with old friends. It wasn't easy, but slowly I began to rebuild myself. I learned to say no when I meant it, to prioritize my own desires, and to trust my instincts. And most importantly, I learned that I deserved better than a partner who would keep secrets from me. It's funny how we often have to hit rock bottom before we realize what we truly want. For me, being left behind was the wake-up call I needed. As I closed this chapter of my life and moved forward, I felt a sense of peace wash over me. For the first time in years, I felt like myself again, raw, vulnerable, and ready to move forward. As I look back on my journey, I realized that I wasn't just fighting for myself. I was also fighting for others who might be going through something similar. And the truth is, there are often warning signs that indicate someone's partner may be hiding a secret child. As we navigate the aftermath of being left behind by a secret child, it's essential to remember that you're not alone. There are countless others who have walked this painful path, and there is support available to help you heal. Online forums like Secret Child Survivors and hotlines like the National Domestic Violence Hotline, 1-800-799-7233, offer a safe space to share your story and connect with others who understand what you're going through. As we continue to navigate the complexities of relationships, I want to leave you with a crucial reminder. Trust your instincts. If something feels off, it's okay to pause and take a closer look. For Sarah, it started with small things. Her husband, John, would become irrationally angry when she spoke to her friends, or he'd constantly question what she was doing on social media. At first, she brushed it off as jealousy, but over time she realized these were red flags. Gaslighting, controlling behavior. These are warning signs that a partner may be hiding something. And it's not just about the big secrets. It's often the little things that add up to a bigger picture of deception. For example, Emily's boyfriend would constantly, accidentally, delete her phone records or messages, making her feel like she was going crazy. If you're in a relationship and feeling like you're walking on eggshells, it may be time to take a step back and reevaluate. Remember, your intuition is a powerful tool. Listen to it and trust yourself. The next section will focus on prioritizing self-care and recognizing when we need to put our own needs first. As Sarah navigated the aftermath of discovering her husband's secret child, she had to confront a harsh reality. She was no longer the priority in his life. The emotional weight of this revelation threatened to consume her, leaving her feeling lost and forgotten. But Sarah knew that if she didn't take care of herself during this time, she would lose herself completely. She started small, taking long walks alone each morning, practicing yoga at home, and journaling her thoughts and feelings. These self-care rituals became a lifeline, helping her process the trauma and find some semblance of peace. As Sarah reflected on her experiences, she realized that prioritizing self-care wasn't about being selfish. It was about recognizing her own needs and taking steps to meet them. By doing so, she gained clarity and perspective, allowing her to move forward with a renewed sense of purpose. I needed to take care of myself, Sarah said. Not just for my own well-being, but also to be there for the ones who truly needed me. As Sarah stood in front of the family photo album, she couldn't help but feel a mix of emotions: anger, sadness, and ultimately, a sense of determination. Rebuilding trust wasn't going to be easy, especially after discovering the secret child. But Sarah knew it was necessary for her own healing and for the future of their relationship. Moving forward wasn't easy, but I knew I had to do it for myself. It's funny how you can be so caught up in trying to save someone else that you forget about your own healing process. But Sarah made a conscious decision to focus on herself and her own growth. She started taking yoga classes, something she'd always wanted to try, but never had the time. And let me tell you, it was life-changing. It helped her calm her mind and connect with her body in ways she never thought possible. As she continued to navigate this new reality, Sarah also made some significant changes in her relationship. She and her husband started couples therapy, which was tough at first, but ultimately forced them to confront the issues that led to his infidelity. They had to work through their communication problems and rebuild trust, one small step at a time. It's been a year now since Sarah discovered the truth, and while it's still a painful memory, she can see the progress they've made. She's proud of herself for standing up for what she deserves and for not giving up on love. As we reflect on the journey that Sarah has been on, it's clear that supporting loved ones who are going through similar experiences is crucial. When someone discovers a secret child, they often struggle with feelings of guilt, shame, and anger. But as friends and family members, we can make all the difference by being present and offering a listening ear. As we navigate the aftermath of learning about our partner's secret family, it's essential to acknowledge that healing is a journey. It's not just about forgiving or forgetting, it's about breaking free from the trauma that's been holding us back. One powerful strategy for doing so is seeking professional help through therapy. A trained therapist can provide a safe space to process emotions, identify patterns of behavior, and develop coping mechanisms. As I look back on the journey that brought me to this place, I'm reminded of the devastating truth. My husband's secret child. The pain, the anger, the betrayal, it all feels like a never-ending storm. But in the midst of the chaos, I found something unexpected. Strength. I thought I had lost myself in the darkness, but somehow, I managed to crawl out and dust myself off. It wasn't easy, but I learned that true resilience lies not in the absence of pain, but in our ability to face it head-on. For me, that meant acknowledging my feelings, accepting support from loved ones, and creating a safe space to heal. The journey was long and arduous, but with each step forward, I grew stronger. I realized that I wasn't defined by this secret, or the man who kept it from me. My worth, my identity, They're mine alone. As I stand here today, I'm not the same person who walked through those doors a year ago. I've been transformed by the fire of heartbreak and the power of self-discovery. The takeaway? No matter what secrets or surprises life throws our way, we have the capacity to rise above. We can choose to be defined by the pain or by our inner strength. The choice is ours. As we reflect on the journey of those left behind by a secret child, remember that your story is not defined by the secrets and lies. It's defined by how you rise above them. Don't let anyone dull your sparkle or silence your voice. You are strong, capable, and deserving of love and respect. Hold on to hope. Hold on to faith. And most importantly, hold on to yourself. And if you're going through something similar right now, know that you're not alone. We're all in this together. Subscribe to our channel for more heart-wrenching stories of relationships gone wrong and the resilient women who rise above them.